Hostin, for Arcadio Produce for hosting us today.
How you doing over there? I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report. It's April 24th, 2025. We are live streaming on Rumble, on YouTube, and on Locals. We do have a post-game show today, rubinreport.locals.com. We also have a community Q&A for the second half of today's program, and Joseph is at a computer with a wire that goes into a wall. As I always say, I don't know where that goes, but he has access to the internet, and if you would like to ask me a question on the fly, live in real time, you can join us, rubinreport.locals.com. Before we do that, we're going to catch up on a couple interesting things, and yes, I'm warning you already, we're going to show you 2 clips of The View. I don't think, have we shown any View clips this week? Oh yeah, we did Sunny, no. Sorry. Well, what can I tell you? Most shows that you watch, the host doesn't apologize right up top, but I'm apologizing. We're going to do it. We're going to all get through it together. Then we got a little bit of Crockett, Elon stepping away from DOGE, going back to Tesla, and a whole bunch more. So we're just catching up on a bunch of stuff, questions on the other side. But let's start with something that we covered a bit yesterday that I actually think is super interesting and really shows how the country is fundamentally changing. But Donald Trump is proposing a baby bonus, some cash if you start having kids, because we do have a population growth problem on the horizon. This from the New York Post. Trump mulls $5,000 baby bonus for moms in bid to reverse declining birth rates. Now, I mentioned yesterday, and then we'll show you the stuff on The View. I mentioned yesterday, there's some interesting stuff here. First off, should people have more children in general? Yes. We've always been told by the left, there's overpopulation and that's what's causing the destruction of the environment and all this endless hysteria. No, the family is the fundamental basic building block of Western civilization. We all know it's the most important thing, and it is good to have more kids for a litany of reasons, not only to keep humanity alive, but also kind of straighten you out as a parent. It makes you better, like all the Jordan Peterson-esque versions of all of that. Now, the question is, should the government pay people, offer financial incentives? Well, we have some version of that already, because you know when you file your taxes, if you're married, if you have kids, dependents, there are all sorts of tax breaks you can get. That's a little bit different than the government handing out a check. But let's put that debate aside for a moment, and just conceptually, the government right now is saying having kids is good. I would say that's a pretty significant change from what we've been dealing with, which is mostly that humans are the problem on planet Earth. That's what's been coming from the left and the globalists for a long time. So now let's go over to The View. Sunny Hostin, the most racist woman on television, she somehow figures out a way to, yes, make this about Donald Trump being racist.
Because when I look at something like this, these proposals, I want to know why, and I want to know who's making them. And so when I looked into that, they're saying that the U.S. birth rate is declining. However, in 2024, there was a 1% increase in U.S. births. But that increase was with Hispanic mothers and Asian mothers. So they don't seem to be concerned about that increase. They seem to be more concerned about a decrease in other populations.
Say it.
No, I think I said enough.
It's not based on that.
And so, well, it's just based on a study. And so the other thing
but
I will.
Have they said that anywhere? I mean, I feel like
yeah,
it should be fair.
It's just as fair to who? It's just a.
Have they said that this is to target only white families?
Oh, I didn't say that.
You have
I
to read
between the lines. I just gave the stats.
Yeah, but it's about economics. They're wanting people to pay in.
I'm just giving.
She is one disgusting racist hoe. She really is. Like, that is what it should say under her. Every time they put her up, it should just say disgusting racist hoe, Sunny Hostin. I guess it says lawyer or something like that. But that is disgusting. He's offering this. Now let's put aside whether it's a good idea or bad idea or anything else. They're offering it to everyone. It has nothing to do with race. So if you're black and you have a baby, you will get $5K. If you Asian, if you white, or if you anything else, you will also get the $5K. To read that stat about population growth, so there was a 1% increase with Hispanics and Asians, the implication that Donald Trump looked at numbers and was like, whites didn't reproduce enough, so I'll give everybody $5,000 to it's complete and utter nonsense. But that is what The View is. Thus, we have a clip here of Whoopi explaining how women having more babies, expanding families, et cetera, how that's like The Handmaid's Tale. Lord help us.
I am so not only insulted by that amount of money, because $5,000, yes, it sounds like a lot of money, but if you can't pay your rent, if you can't pay for your after-school programs for your kids, if you said to me,
but isn't something better than nothing, I guess?
No, not in this case.
I feel like if Biden proposed this, we would all be saying it's groundbreaking and a good idea.
No, I'm sorry. I don't like the idea that somebody is saying, you need to, I'm going to pay you to have more kids. I know we're not allowed to bring up the other times people suggested that, but I will tell you, this is not the first time
It feels a
in
little
the country.
Lay off the weed, lady. I'm not even exactly sure what she's talking about. What is she talking about? The other times people offered to pay people to have kids? What is, I don't even know what she's saying there. But also, Alyssa Farah, who is the pet Republican over there, I'll give you a little credit. You're going to get your cookie and they'll pat you on the head. But you did make a fairly decent point. Isn't something better than nothing? Like if you fundamentally like humans, if you like families and you like kids, then if you believe that the government has any role in anything, then giving some money to help people, like, yeah, it's better than nothing. $5,000 is better than nothing. Like, so what are you saying, Whoopi? Is there some magic number that you would be, so if they were like 50 grand, and I know as a lefty, the money doesn't have to really exist or come from anywhere or anything else, but if it was 50 grand per child, would that be good enough for you? Like if someone can't afford their rent or can't afford this, that, or the other thing, they have to think about that when they are family planning. But a little bonus should help anyone that has their head on straight, which is certainly not what's going on over there at The View. Let's jump from The View, though, to Michelle Obama's podcast. Michelle Obama, there are rumors that her marriage to Barack Obama is on the rocks. That's just what they're saying online. I do not know. But she's got a podcast. It's doing quite poorly. The comment section has been turned off on YouTube, from what I understand. There was some confusion whether Michelle was Michelle or Michelle was the brother. I don't know. But here she is with Tajari Henson explaining that black women don't get to articulate their pain enough. So she's basically articulating her pain while explaining to us that her pain has not been articulated.
We don't articulate as Black women our pain because it's almost like nobody ever gave us permission to do that.
And does anyone care?
Yeah, there's
Will
that.
they care?
If
we
part.
knew, I think we would care. If we knew.
Mm-hmm.
If we knew.
Or, yeah, and we have to ask ourselves, the men in our lives is, why wait to be asked? It seems like what we go through is pretty obvious. I mean, maybe we're not complaining, but we're actually living life out loud,
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of words to say nothing. You don't need permission to complain. You have a podcast. You can complain. I know that not many people are watching it, but I just have genuinely no idea what these people are talking about. I'm not even exactly sure why we showed you that clip, other than I was just sort of amazed by the woman's look. The new look is kind of, what is going, like that is like, could you picture in Star Wars, you could literally picture Han Solo landing on a planet and they've got to do some negotiations and she's the woman that they send out there and she's going to have a big staff and some, yeah, okay, fine. Let's jump to another one. We're just doing basically, I think the beginning of the show is just like the crazy women that are out there. That's what we're just titling this show today. Here's Jasmine Crockett. That's right, Lady Eyelashes. She's the new one, right? She's the new one. She's out crazying everybody. She's trying to kick AOC to the curb. So the machine kind of likes her right now because she's just totally bananas. So, of course, what did she do? She gets on Jimmy Kimmel's show, that late night, quote unquote, comedy show, and offered some incredible insight.
I don't think that, honestly, policy is what we need to be fighting about. Because guess what? Can't nobody tell you what Donald Trump's policies were at all. Like, you ask them, like, what policies? I don't know, but he's going to bring down the cost of eggs. But last time I checked, that didn't happen, right? Mm-hmm. It'd be like, well, we're saying it's Project 2025. No, Donald said he knows nothing about that. And then what happened? All the Project 2025 started to come around. So, I don't even think that it's policy. I think that people are voting on vibes.
Okay, lady, can't nobody tell you Donald Trump stuff? Now, that's a double negative. So, can't nobody. That means pretty much everybody. So, I will try it for a moment. What are Donald Trump's policies? Well, we've closed the border. We're kicking out illegals. We're redoing trade policy. We can go on with all of these things. We're getting DEI and wokeism out of the system. We are rebuilding our military. Shall we continue? So when you say can't nobody, you mean everybody. Okay, Jasmine. A little more on Jasmine, who also doesn't like Elon Musk because, he defended free speech and found government fraud and a bunch of stuff like that.
We really don't know how much damage they're causing. Like, when I tell you that the level of incompetence is almost like incomprehensible, it is so bad. And when you bring up the idiot known as Elon Musk, he is not only like very sinister and has no idea of what he's doing, and people are like, oh no, he absolutely knows because he's the richest man in the world. Like, yes, he knows how to hire smart people, but don't conflate that and believe that he is the genius, because he ain't. And so he has inflicted so much harm and done so much that even Trump don't want to talk about it. When the last time you heard about Elon?
Not much. You don't see him that much.
No, we ain't been hearing about him.
You think Trump is distancing himself from Elon Musk?
Because as soon as people started to look at his ratings, right, like he continues to have these failing ratings. So now they're like, oh, get rid of Elon. But let me tell you, the stench ain't getting off of you, Trump, honey. Like, you are a problem. He is a problem. Pete is a problem. All of y'all a problem. So,
yeah, it's an apology show. I'm throwing clips at you, and she is unbearable. The fake accent, you get all that. Elon's an idiot, and he's only hired great people around him. One of the skills of a competent person, a competent executive, is that they hire great people around them, right? So the implication that somehow he's just some doddering moron, and he's somehow, imagine if he's a doddering moron. This is what they used to do with Trump for years. He's an idiot, he's a moron, well, he's somehow created all these businesses. He somehow became president of the United States. He somehow became president of the United States again. But he's an idiot. If he's an idiot, what does it make the rest of them, right? And it's the same thing with Elon. Yes, okay, lady, he is an idiot. Elon Musk is an idiot. All you have done, from what I can tell, is make up a fake ghetto accent and put on some big eyelashes and then get media coverage for it. That's pretty impressive. What has Elon done? I don't know. He's sending rockets into outer space. He's going to get us to Mars. He's building tunnels under Los Angeles right now, so they'll have an underground tunnel system. He's helping paraplegics literally play chess with their mind. They're doing that. He's got the Optimus robots coming out. He's got automated Yes, he's an idiot. He's an idiot, and he's sinister. He's sinister because he went in and worked for free for the last 3 months, which is now about to come to a close, and uncovered insane amounts of fraud. But you are an agent of the machine, and that's why you don't want the fraud uncovered. Now, what Jasmine has done with her fake accent and her ghetto talk and occasionally dropping some choice language is now leaking into other parts of the Democrat Party. And here is how the New York Times is covering that. What is dark woke? Democrats are trying a new attitude. It's provocative, edgy, and perilously towing the line of not being too offensive. And there's a picture of Jasmine right there because she curses every now and again, and she gets out there and she makes up her accent. Yes, go watch old videos of her. She did not talk like that years ago. It's a full-on, it's a complete, and this is so consistent with them, right? AOC, fake accent. Hillary somehow would become Southern when she was down South, and Kamala did it, and Hillary had hot sauce in her bag. Why are they all so fake? I think there is a deep existential reason for it. But dark woke, so you can see the machine now is promoting when Democrats use choice language and are mean and get in your face, it's cool, it's dark woke. But when Trump did it and Trump supporters do it, they're ruining all the norms. They're scary people, they're racists, et cetera, et cetera. And by the way, the rot of the Democrat Party has just proliferated everywhere right now. You know this guy, Lenny, they call him Charlamagne, but Lenny's got a radio show, and he had Biden advisor Alencia Johnson on. Well, you just tell me, does this seem like the good move for the Democrats right now if they're going to be a big party ever again in the future?
Some of my journalist friends and I get into this disagreement. I don't really talk to people who voted for Donald Trump. Like, I don't need to talk to them. Because if we look at the last election, 90 million eligible voters did not vote. That's a whole lot of people that we can reach to understand that they actually have power to change the system.
I think you should talk to people who voted for Trump. And the reason I think you should is because then you'll understand the why. And I think that's where Democrats just simply failed.
Fair. Yes.
They didn't know, they couldn't understand the why. It's like, how could you vote for the, did you actually have a conversation with them to see how? Because a lot of it does just have to do with a lot of policies that they just didn't agree with.
That's true. And let me clarify that. There are a lot of people with privilege and understanding exactly why they voted for Donald Trump, which is centered around race, that I do not like to engage with. But to your point, if I think about where I grew up, if I think about people who I may not talk to anymore, but high school, college, whatever it may be, they probably did vote for Donald Trump for whatever reason it may be. And so what is the conversation? Is it the economy? But then continue to ask all those questions. Yeah. Is it because you believe this trope that other people are taking your jobs, but the reality is it's these billionaires not paying you a fair wage? Like, what is...
Can we retitle an episode in the middle of a show? Can we get our guy to do that? And this could just be crazy leftist bitches saying useless nonsense. Would that work with the YouTube algorithm? I'm not sure. Just nothing. I'm not going to talk to Trump supporters. And then I'll give Lenny credit. Lenny's like, you probably should talk to them. And then suddenly she's like, well, I will talk to them because they have their reasons. It's like if you could, and that woman was a Kamala consultant, right? She worked in the campaign. So when you guys all wonder why you're just purging everybody, you called us all racist, you opened up the borders, you tanked the economy, you took basically the strength of America all over the world and made it look like a weakness. Now Trump's fixing that. And if your policy is just going to be, okay, we're just not even going to talk to you, well then congratulations. But again, I'm not that interested in the Democrat Party coming back. I'm interested in a wide tent, America-loving, MAGA, America First movement that will bring in as many people who want to agree to disagree but love this freaking country. That's what I'm interested in doing. And the Democrats can still have AOC because, as you know, AOC and Bernie, they're bouncing around the country to stop the oligarchy. They're trying to stop the billionaires. And Bernie's always railing against the billionaires. It used to be the millionaires. Then he became one. So he dropped the M word and it all became about the B's. But I thought this was rather interesting. Check this out from Libs of TikTok. AOC then, AOC now. Any comment AOC? And the tweet that you're seeing there is AOC trying to make Elon fly 100% commercial. But of course, and then someone asked her, well, why don't you fly commercial? And this is, a few months ago, she claims that she flies commercial and that's what she does to go to DC, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, then there's a video of how she's actually flying to her Fight the Oligarchy rallies. And yes, she's getting off a private plane, and who's right behind her but Bernie Sanders himself, Mr. Socialism, a private plane, which, they're flying within the country. I mean, basically a private plane pretty much anywhere within the country, one way, it's got to be at least 20 grand. Who's paying for that? But they're fighting the oligarchy on their private plane, probably also eating foie gras. That's how it works. We've got more on the guy they hate most, but first, Tax Network USA. Tax day may have passed, but for millions of Americans, the real trouble is just beginning. If you miss the April 15th deadline or still owe back taxes, the IRS is ramping up enforcement. Every day you wait only makes things worse. The good news? There's still time for Tax Network USA to help. Self-employed or a business owner with messy books? Tax Network USA quickly organizes your finances and gets you back on track. Even post-deadline, a free consultation can help you act now to avoid penalties, threatening letters, and levies. So call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Dave. Let Tax Network USA help. All right, so who is the guy they hate most? Well, yes, he's the guy that's actually doing things, and it is Elon Musk, and he's basically ready to wrap up. He did a lot of stuff at DOGE, and he's ready to go back to his businesses. That sinister guy who's an idiot, according to Lady Eyelashes. We've got this from CNN. Elon Musk says he's coming back to Tesla, partly stepping away from his high-profile and controversial Trump administration role that has been blamed for a plunge in profits and sales at the company. Musk told Tesla investors on Tuesday that he would scale back his efforts at the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, to a day or two a week, starting sometime next month. So Elon came in and he did an awful lot, and he did it for free. How much did he do? Well, there's the DOGE Live tracker on X. How much? He saved $160 billion, which is basically almost $1,000 per taxpayer. There's 436 days remaining. So this is rather extraordinary. It's just the beginning because there's probably way more waste that they're going to find, and Pete Hegseth is doing his own version of it at the Department of Defense, and you know that Bobby's doing it over at HHS and everything else. But Elon was just a citizen who got sick of the shit, and he had some skills, and he came in and he did some good work, and that's why they hate him. But you know what? There is a guy that doesn't hate him. His name's Donald Trump.
It was a tremendous help, both in the campaign and in what he's done with DOGE. And, you know, we're talking about almost $200 billion and rising fast, because many of the things that we were looking at are now being found out to be fact. It's terrible. I mean, the fraud, the waste, the abuse, the everything that's happened is just terrible. So I also know that he was treated very unfairly by I guess you'd call it the public, by some of the public, not by all of it. So he makes an incredible car, makes everything he does is good. But they took it out on Tesla. And I just thought it was so unfair because he's trying to help the country. I heard him say that he'll start easing, which is always, he was always at this time going to ease out. And when he goes back to Tesla, that'll be taken care of. It was just, it's artificial. These were sick people that thought they were doing something. He's a great patriot, and he should really, it shouldn't be the way, that should never have happened to him. And I will tell you right now, he makes a great product.
I got to say, it's nice seeing that version of Trump, right? Like, that's the version we're seeing, I would say, pretty consistently, like a kind of more serious, like just speaking off the cuff. But like, there's some humility there. Like, he's just thankful that this guy came in and helped him. The guy helped him during the campaign. They did exactly what they promised to do. We never see that from the government. They did it, and now he's going to slowly step away, right? He's not just leaving tomorrow. He'll have a day or two per week, and then he'll get back involved with Tesla. And Tesla is not just a car company anymore, right? They're literally bringing these Optimus robots that are going to be in people's houses. Like, we will be an iRobot, whether you like it or not. There's going to be an AI revolution, whether you like it or not. And I, for one, would rather have Elon at the forefront of that than some of the crazy lefty wackadoodles that are often doing it. So yes, let him start focusing on that stuff. And we should all be thanking him, and instead of calling him sinister and an idiot and going after his businesses and, I don't know, burning down a random Tesla charger station or etching a swastika into somebody's Tesla Cybertruck because, you know, you've got mental issues. But let's do a little bit more on the winning side. Now we're getting away from all the crazy chick stuff. On the winning side, Trump is still going after Harvard, and Harvard is not happy about it, but he's going to do it anyway. This is from Mario Nafal on X. Breaking: Harvard sues Trump after $2 billion freeze. America's most elite university just declared legal war on the White House after Trump froze billions in federal funding over allegations the school failed to protect Jewish students from campus anti-Semitism. Harvard president Alan Garber: the consequences of the government's overreach will be severe and long-lasting. The 50-page lawsuit claims Trump's team shortcutted the usual process while administrators reject White House demands for federal oversight of admissions, hiring, and most shocking of all, student ideology. The administration apparently expected Harvard to fold like Columbia did, but instead got slapped with a constitutional lawsuit that could determine whether universities answer to anyone at all. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. So there's a couple things here. First off, we know for a fact, 100%, that Harvard has been discriminating against whites and Asians and Jews, and that is against the law, right? That the Supreme Court decided just a couple years ago, affirmative action into college admissions, no go. They've been doing it. Then they allowed these campus jihadis to take over the campus, make sure that kids couldn't get to certain buildings, couldn't get to class, et cetera, also no go. We also know that they have a, 40 or 50? I always forget the endowment. It's a $50 billion endowment. Harvard is basically a hedge fund at this point. The idea that they get any of your tax dollars is completely insane, So they discriminate, they clearly teach awful things. I'm not for the government forcing them to teach anything one way or another, but they're discriminating. And if they're going to get government dollars, well, then they shouldn't be indoctrinating kids anyway. So Trump has picked the right fight. I think this is, again, I keep saying this 80-20 thing. I think it's another 80-20 one. Like, this is just going to be a win for Trump. Here he is also, because the other part of this, when you look at what's going on at Columbia or the last couple of days where Yale is now melting down into Hamas stuff and everything else, it's like, where's the money coming from? Because this is obviously coordinated. They show up with the signs, who's paying for their masks and all of their stuff. Like, it's so obviously coordinated, it's ridiculous. So Trump did sign an executive order yesterday cracking down on universities who are taking foreign money.
Requiring certain disclosures of universities when they accept large foreign gifts. We believe that certain universities, including, for example, Harvard, have routinely violated this law, and this law has not been effectively enforced. So this executive order charges your departments and agencies with enforcing the laws on the books with respect to foreign gifts to American universities.
Okay.
All right, so that's interesting because who knows how much money is going into our colleges and what happens when a foreign government funds a department at a college and then brings in their own staff and all of those things. And then the university maybe starts teaching some weird things. Could there be some evidence that that sort of thing is happening? Well, check this out from DOGE AI on X. Harvard hid $151 million from foreign governments since 2020. Education Department probe exposes incomplete disclosures and weak controls. Elite schools chose foreign cash over transparency. The $2.2 billion funding cut was just the start. Now strict reporting on foreign ties. Time to purge outside influence from academia. And we actually have some numbers here. I mean, this is wild. These are foreign gifts, quote unquote gifts, because they come with strings attached, obviously, to American universities from foreign countries since 2012. Qatar, 3.2 billion. Qatar, we'll get to that in a second. China, 1.7 billion. Saudi Arabia, 1.4 billion. UAE, 635 million. Kuwait, 338 million. Russia, 141, et cetera, et cetera. It goes on there. Now, it's interesting because most of these countries, and look, even the Palestinian Authority managed to throw in a mill. But isn't it interesting that most of these countries are not really thought of as like the greatest countries for, I don't know, freedom, individual rights, Western values? Put it up one more time for just a second. It's kind of funny. Like, where's, I don't know, Britain, France, maybe some of the good, could we get a Mexico, a Canada on there? Like some of the countries that we have some values in common with. Most of these countries are largely racist countries that don't allow people who aren't Arab or Muslim to live in them. We've got some communist countries there. We have countries that are barely functioning states like Lebanon. And why are they giving billions and billions of dollars to our universities? Could it be so that they could brainwash generations of Americans to hate America and to then take over college campuses and work in cahoots with terrorist organizations? Am I completely, is there something in my water today? Yeah, so he is not having it. We have an image of Qatar. Do we have a Middle East image? I wanted to show something here. Do we have that? Yeah, we'll grab it in 1 second. I'm going to jump over. I'll come back to Qatar in just a moment. Here's Trump also signing an executive order which removed racial discipline guidelines and another one launching AI into lower education.
Next, sir, we have an executive order on school discipline policies. Under, I believe it was the Biden administration, first Obama and then Biden, the Department of Justice issued guidance that made it almost impossible for schools to enforce adequate disciplinary policies. This created issues in the classroom for teachers and students alike. Basically, they focused on CRT and sort of diversity ideology instead of actually just enforcing the rules in classrooms to ensure a safe learning environment. This executive order revokes that prior guidance and puts us back in a place where hopefully the Department of Education can focus on education and teachers can focus on teaching in a safe environment.
And this was important for you, Linda, as I understand it.
Yeah, absolutely, because it gives teachers the authority now to have discipline in their classroom and discipline the person who is being disruptive. We took that away.
This next executive order relates to artificial intelligence education, sir. You've obviously done a lot in the artificial intelligence space already. The basic idea of this executive order is to ensure that we properly train the workforce of the future by ensuring that school children, young Americans are adequately trained in AI tools so that they can be competitive in the economy years from now into the future as AI becomes a bigger and bigger deal?
That's a big deal because AI is where it seems to be at. We have literally trillions of dollars being invested in AI. And somebody today, a very smart person, said that AI is the way to the future. I don't know if that's right or not, but certainly very smart people are investing in it heavily.
I don't think I have to overanalyze that. The reason I want to show you that whole thing is it's just nice to see some level of transparency. You have the guy explaining clearly. It's not for Trump to hear again, like Trump knows what he's signing. It's for us to hear, right? They have a TV camera there. What are you signing, Mr. President? And then you have a president who's listening and then commenting on it, surrounded by competent people, right? Like Linda McMahon, who is a billionaire, who only took the job at the Department of Ed to put herself out of work. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Two notes very quickly. Well, first off, let's show the map of the Middle East, because nobody knows anything about Qatar. Qatar is an absolutely tiny, tiny country. This map is actually a little confusing because of the way they're drawing some of the borders there. But Qatar is a tiny, tiny country in the Persian Gulf that has an insane, it's that little red speck there, right? That has an insane amount of money. And why is it that that country, where, by the way, the Hamas leadership has been living, they finally booted them and sent them to Turkey, which we're supposedly allies with, although we're not really. They're exporting through money, through buying our universities, and come back to me, through buying our universities, they're exporting all of the evil ideas because they've got a lot of money. So people should be talking about Qatar a little bit more. And a quick program note, I have just been informed by our YouTube back-end guy, our data guy, Chris. I said, what was I said? We were going to change the title of today's show into Crazy Leftist Bitches something. He looked into it. We don't have enough data to support a title change, so we're leaving it as is. Here's Pete Hegseth. Again, just more wins for the administration. If you got fired from the military because of COVID vaxes that you wouldn't take, well, we're going to bring you back.
We're also welcoming back former service members who were wrongly forced to leave the military. More than 8,700 service members were involuntarily separated for not taking an experimental COVID-19 vaccine. Others were more informally pushed out or decided to get out. We are welcoming actively back those warriors of conscience. We've sent letters out. We're seeking them out. We want them back. They never should have been forced to come back quickly. Personnel and Readiness Department is working in real time to make that process more and more efficient, more and more direct every single day.
Once again, it just illustrates my point on Pete, which is that he had the pedigree with his history in the military, but that he can communicate the ideas, and he's up there and he looks good and he's communicating clearly. But more importantly than any of that, he's doing the right thing. The idea that we had young men and women who are of fighting age, right? They're supposed to be the best of the best. They were in our military, and I know we had lowered standards over years and all that stuff, but they were young people that never should have been forced to inject themselves with any kind of experimental medication, vaccine. I don't even know what you call it at this point. And there were people who stood up and said, I won't do it. And they lost their freaking jobs because of it. They lost their livelihoods and everything else. And it wasn't just people in the military. But once again, this is an 80-20 issue. This is Trump through Hegseth just doing the right thing. Not only are they going to bring these people back, I hope there'll be some sort of back pay or some kind of bonuses or something, because these are good people. And we did this to doctors and nurses and all sorts of people. And until we start doing the right thing by bringing these people back in, figuring out why we did all these things in the first place, we are just on the path to doing it again, one way or another. But let's talk about 1775 coffee before we get to the Rubin Report Locals.com community Q&A. Guys, have you ever had a cup of coffee that makes you feel younger? 1775's Rejuvenate Coffee is a bold, dark roast infused with the same compound shown in studies to reverse biological age by up to 8 years. It energizes your cells, sharpens your mind, and supports long-term strength. No pills, no green sludge, just real results. And the best part, when you buy from 1775 Coffee, you're supporting free speech, freedom of choice, and the creators and values that you believe in. Go to 1775coffee.com. Grab the anti-aging longevity roast and use code Rubin for 15% off. Feel sharper, stronger, and younger today. Is that a professional read or what? I should get into broadcasting. All right, RubinReport.locals.com, community Q&A. And as I said, Joseph has a computer. If you have some sort of device that you're watching us on right now, you can communicate with him, and maybe he'll ask me a question live on the show that comes from you. Who knows? Lynn says, I hate being redundant on this subject regarding the so-called Maryland man that has now turned into the due process man. Can you explain to me why someone like him is entitled to due process? Okay, so this is partly what the courts are fighting about, right? I did a little Googling before the program, and technically, in the most technical sense, if you are a green card holder, you are due process before you are kicked out of the country. Now, the administration is arguing otherwise for a series of reasons as it pertains to this particular guy. Let's put the legal part aside for just a second. The broader issue, and Stephen Miller has really been hitting this, and I think this is completely right, is that for the last 5 years, as we let these 12 to 15 million people in, on top of about 12 million illegals that were already here probably. So there's something between 20 and 30 million illegals in this country right now, right? When we did this for the last 4 or 5 years, nobody cared. Well, we cared, right? But none of these people that suddenly care about the system and they care about due process and they care about our laws and all that, they didn't care because it's breaking the law when you enter the country in the first place. Now, part of the problem that they're offering us right now is that if you are to take let's say we actually knew where all 12 million of these people were, right? And let's say we were going to deport all of them, put aside crime or not. Let's just say we were like, you know what, you're illegal, you got to go. If we were to give everybody a trial or whatever you want to call it, a hearing, et cetera, it would never happen. It would never happen. One of the reasons they're going so hard on Trump as it pertains to this right now is they want to basically make this guy into the avatar for the entire thing. And if he can get sent back here, even though he's not a citizen, and so El Salvador would have to kick out a citizen of El Salvador to have him come back. If they can win this fight, it will blow apart Trump's ability to kick anyone out. And that is a problem. So these guys that are suddenly pretending they care so much about our laws and how everything works, you didn't care about it when people were breaking the law to come into the country. Also, due process is an interesting word. And I was thinking, we have due process, and what we're trying to do is deport people. I would like to present a new word, a word of the day for the Rubin Report. It is duportation. Yay, we like that. Duportation. I can't speak to whether every single one of them should have due process, but I do think we should have duportation. You are illegal, you are an El Salvadorian gang member, you should be duported. We'll talk about it. Duportation basically means we're going to talk about it for a little bit, and if you've got the tattoos and the whole thing, then you got to go. And that's called duportation. Sorry you didn't get a whole hearing and everything else, but you did break the law when you came in the first place. Duportation. D-U-E. Okay. Elizabeth says, do you think you'd survive in a zombie apocalypse? That's my kind of question. Look at that image. That is a zombie apocalypse right there. Well, first off, I am watching Last of Us, which just came back on HBO Max. I will not do any spoilers here, but if you did not see episode 2 of season 2, holy zombiness. I love zombie shows. I love zombie movies. I'm often preparing for the apocalypse, and we've got our prepper situation over here. David would do extremely well. He is very, very good at stuff. He can fix things. He knows how to clean water if it's filthy. He knows he's good with electronics, all that stuff. I think my great skill is as an orator. And nobody wants to listen to the guy talk as the world is, you know what I mean? There's always a guy in all the zombie movies, he's talking and talking and talking, and they end up shooting him. The friends end up killing the guy. So it's not going to go that way. I don't know that I would be eaten by zombies, but I would probably get shot by somebody who'd be like, could you just shut the fuck up already? No, I've actually got some pretty decent skills, and I can change a tire, and I know how to do some stuff, and I can do a tourniquet. And we actually just got training on CPR. We did it for the whole family, and we're doing it for the team as well. It's obviously good to have, when you have kids, if someone's choking or goes into cardiac arrest and all of those things. I think I would do pretty decently well. We also have a lot of guns, and that helps because I've seen zombie movies, and if you don't have a gun, you are dead. Joe says, any thoughts on Elon Musk stepping away from DOGE to focus on Tesla? Well, we obviously covered that for the most part already. But look, again, I just think what we have just seen, if this guy never does anything else on this earth, which he's entitled to do. Like, he has more money than anybody. The guy could disappear. He could literally leave the Earth. He could get in a rocket and I'm sure figure out a way to spend the rest of his days in orbit or going or whatever, right? Like, he could do that. He would rather spend his days fixing things. Like, you think it was the most fun thing? I mean, from what I understand, he was staying in like a very, very like average place in DC while he was doing this. He was working all hours. He could do whatever he wants. And so that's why their arguments, it's not just that when they call him sinister, as Lady Eyelashes did, or they call him evil or all these other things. When they go to his motives, he was just trying to get tax breaks for billionaires. Like, think how cynical and boring that is. Like, yes, Elon Musk, who was loved by everybody a year and a half ago, then buys Twitter to help fight for free speech, right? Does that, then gets involved with Trump, then ends up being hated by everyone who used to love him. The machine is constantly trying to destroy him. They've come after his businesses. They came after his executive package at Tesla, right? He had to move companies out of California. He had to move companies that were incorporated out of Delaware over to Texas as well. Like, they've come for him in every which way. Does that sound familiar? Or was there a certain orange guy they did that with? But he did it because he just wanted a little more money. It's so dumb and thin and ridiculous. And yes, we owe the guy a debt of gratitude. Crafty Cat says, what is your favorite toy to play with your boys with, minus the fishing poles? So you obviously, I posted it in Locals yesterday. So this is a little parenting advice for everybody. So this happened yesterday. We have one of these Samsung frame TVs. They're really cool because you can basically, the way the screen works with glare and everything with anti-glare is you can put up beautiful pieces of art. They have some that you can buy, or you can put up your own pictures, and it makes your TV, when it's not on, look like a piece of art. Well, we had I like the black and white animal pictures, and we had a nice picture of a shark there. And one thing that I've now learned as a parent yesterday was that don't put a picture of a shark or fish on your big, expensive television if you also have a child with a child's fishing rod who thinks that perhaps he can use that fishing rod to catch the shark on the TV, because yes, we now have to buy television. That is one thing. Do we have I think I put up some other pictures. We've got some other, we're into, I've told you guys before, I really don't like electronic toys and all the plastic stuff. So we like a lot of wooden toys, where we've got the hardware set over there. We've got the wooden animals, and those are the Duplo blocks. That's like when you're a young kid, before I guess you're probably 4 or 5, and you can get into the really smaller Legos, but they're really into that stuff right now. And blocks, so we're building a lot of forts, we're building a lot of castles. And yes, they do have a couple of transformers that I have used here to explain immigration to the simpler set of people. TD Fink says, so David Hogg is anti-gun, but pro-gang member. Make it make sense. That's so brilliant. Yeah. All of these people, they all hate guns, and yet they somehow are sexually attracted to people that are gang members from other countries who usually kill people with guns. None of it makes sense. It's why I'm really just enjoying the interfighting that's happening with the party. It's like you've got James Carville, you've got Hogg, these people all deserve each other. You've got the people that, we've shown you some of the crazy women on television that don't know what to make of any of it. It's like you guys are all in full meltdown, and I think we basically just have to get out of their way, and as I always say, just strengthen the wide 10 thing. If we do that, and then you have a pro-America first movement that has a lot of conservative principles, that carves out an area for people that are more liberal, let's say. You want something like, it's like conservative in the streets, liberal in the sheets, something like that. Like, let's have a country that actually is based in law and order. What you do in your bedroom is up to you. Like, that's the thing. And if we do that, let these people, let Hogg fight Carville and let it be. Trying Daily says, do you think that people like Rosie O'Donnell actually like having diseases or health issues like Munchausen syndrome? That's interesting. I mentioned yesterday, I used to know Rosie. We hung out a couple of times. Like, it's been very, watching her go, she was always a lefty, but watching her go completely bananas. Like a couple of years ago, I just unfollowed her on Twitter because I was like, to whatever extent I remember you and enjoyed being with you, you're so nuts on Twitter, I just don't want to see it anymore, right? So I can just have that little memory of before you went completely crazy. Obviously, look, the thing that I will say defending her as it pertains to Trump is that Trump has gone after her, right? Like, he always is making fun of her. So if the president of the United States was making fun of you personally, maybe you'd have a little soft, I'd be a little thinner. Your defenses against it would be a little bit thinner, right? I can accept that. That's sort of the reverse of Bill Maher, who just broke bread with the guy that they've been slinging arrows at each other forever. However, okay, fine. So that's how Rosie is. As far as the health thing, I think you're kind of referring to the video from yesterday where she was being interviewed and she basically, she's saying that she left America. She now lives in Ireland because Donald Trump might come for her non-binary child. And it's like, is there some Munchausen's thing there? Munchausen is when you basically fake being sick so that people will, you know, give you pity and pay attention to you. It's usually something that happens with women, actually. And then there's Munchausen by proxy, which is where you basically make it seem, or you convince your own child, it's usually the child, that they think they're sick, and that way you get some of the extra empathy from people. You have something to always focus on over there. I don't know what's going on with her, but the idea, apparently the child is also autistic. And it's like the idea that Bobby Kennedy is coming in to mock autistic. He's trying to find everyone with an autistic family member or child, whatever it might be, should be applauding Bobby Kennedy, regardless of what he finds at the end of this thing. He's a little curious as to why the numbers of autism have gone up. Like, that's not a bad thing, you dingbats. Jeremy says, do you ever plan on expanding your grill sources with a pellet grill or Santa Maria grill? So you guys remember we put up the video a couple weeks ago where I made that beautiful Wagyu tomahawk in the Big Green Egg smoker. Yes, I don't eat Wagyu all the time and I don't smoke everything all the time. I've also got the main grill back there. Today I'm having a nice skirt steak for lunch. You can do that in the oven, 450, 15 minutes, little salt and pepper, you're good to go. I love the Big Green Egg. I just love it. Just put it up for one more second. I just love everything about using it, you know, because there's nothing electric about it. You're not plugging anything in. You have to fiddle with that little black top over there as for how much smoke is getting out. And on the bottom, there's another, it's right out of frame right there, but how much air is actually getting in. And that's how you get that perfect smoke, and fiddle with the temperature and all those things. So I don't know about getting another, you know, so I've got that and I've got the main grill. Let's put up pictures of the two that you mentioned. So a pellet, most people know what a pellet grill is. That's basically kind of the standard smoker that most people have. They think of a Traeger, you know, there's a pellet box on the side, and it's a good way to smoke. I think it's probably a little bit easier, from what I understand, than using the Big Green Egg. And then the Santa Maria grill is like when you're doing major meats for lots of people all the time, or you're roasting like a whole goat or something like that. Yes, I would like one of those. I want to roast a goat. My birthday's in June. Maybe I'm going to roast a goat. That sounds good. Or maybe you'll roast a goat. Why do I have to roast a goat? It's my birthday. All right, that's it. Joseph's roasting me a goat on my birthday. Guys, let's talk about Rumble Premium for a minute and more on the other side. Free speech is under attack, but Rumble refuses to back down. We've always believed in empowering voices, no matter how unpopular, and now we're taking that fight to the next level. When major advertisers conspired to pull their dollars, even brands like Dunkin' Donuts turned their backs. But we're not here to fit a mold, we're here to defend free expression. To strengthen this mission, we're excited to offer Rumble Premium, a completely ad-free experience with exclusive benefits for viewers and creators. You'll find exclusive content from creators like Russell Brand, Dr. Disrespect, Timcast, and the Mug Club with Crowder. It's more than a subscription, it's a stand for free speech. Your voice matters. Join Rumble Premium. For a limited time, you can get $10 off the annual plan using promo code Rubin. Visit rumble.com/premium/Rubin and claim your discount today. Whether you join Rumble Premium or simply keep watching, your support helps keep free speech alive. Rimfire says, Dave, any thoughts on Steve Hilton running for governor of California? You know, I know Steve a little bit. I've done his show, which I think he still has on Fox on a Sunday night show. Nice guy. He's been, you know, he's basically, I would say, just like, you know, like a good, decent, politically moderate, not insane person. And as a TV guy, we'll be able to communicate a lot of that well. I'm just so not bullish on California at all. I still see what's going on here in Florida, where every day I see a house that's for sale, and then I'll see people outside and they're from California and they've had it with what's going on there, right? Like, so I just don't know that the numbers make sense anymore. I don't know if there's enough good people there. You know, it's not just about the governor, right? Like it's that there's a supermajority of Democrats in the state legislature. There's so much that has to be cleaned up. Adam Carolla has been doing a ton on just how absolutely incompetent the cleanup since the Pacific Palisades fire has been. We still know there's all the crime and everything else. Actually, last night, so I had I had David Zucker in yesterday, and we'll put the interview up, I think, this Saturday, and he's incredible. David Zucker is the creator and director and writer of Airplane and Naked Gun 2.5 and Naked Gun 33 1/3, and he's done just a million. He's one of the most legendary comedy creators of all time. It was one of the most enjoyable interviews I've done in a long time. And he lives in LA, and we went out last night in Miami, and he was just talking about, wait, there's no homeless people, there's no filth, like, where is it? I was like, well, I guess we could find it if you want to find it, but like, no, we just do things differently here. So good luck to Steve. I'm happy to have him on the show, and I'll help however I can. But I've been through this before. I've been through a recall that failed, that Gavin survived, and then he won another election after that. You know, they had the choice in Los Angeles to pick Rick Caruso, who was a competent Republican who knew a little something about building things, and they instead chose Karen Bass. And good luck, guys, I guess I would say. Chipster says, I'm wondering if the healthier versions of these food items maintain the taste. You know, that's an interesting question, because we see all of these dyes now are going to go out of things. So here's the headline: FDA to phase out dyes in Flamin' Hot Cheetos, Skittles, and other snacks. So do the dyes actually affect the flavor? I don't know the answer to that. It probably maybe varies on the dye or how much they're using, or maybe, you know, whether it's a chip or a piece of candy or whatever. I think, look, I don't love the idea of the government telling private companies what they can or cannot put in their things. I like holistically, I don't love that. I'm a little more libertarian in that sense. But we have been just pushed through such a system of putting poisons in our body for so long that in this case, are there ways to do things better? Like if your Flaming Hot Cheetos taste the same, but look a little bit different because you're going to be poisoned a little bit less by that red dye or whatever it might be, like, maybe that's okay. Maybe this is a decent use of the government to make sure that we stop poisoning ourselves. And maybe we should be thinking why there's so much plastic in all of our stuff, and a whole series of reasons, and then a whole series of questions around all of these things. So I don't know that it'll change things, but generally speaking, anyway, I've mentioned, like when we make cakes for the kids, or muffins or whatever, like you can use pea powder to get blue dye if you want blue color in something. Like there's all sorts of other things that you can do. You can use a little bit of fruit juice that might dye something. So there are better, healthier ways in general to do things. And if we focus on that, I think that would be good. But probably the best answer is don't eat that many Doritos. You know, there's other things you can eat besides Doritos, as much as everyone enjoys the Flaming Hot Cheeto. Is that what it is? It's a Cheeto. Shecky Green says, is Adolf Hitler the only historical figure that the Democrats even know about? Yeah, it's so disgusting what they've done, you know, and I was literally talking about this 10 years ago. You're calling everybody Hitler, and it's not what you're doing to them. Yes, it's annoying to be called Hitler or a Nazi. It happens to me. That is annoying, but it's what you're doing to yourself when you do that. Because if you for years and years call someone Hitler and call a group of people Nazis when they're obviously not Nazis, call someone a Nazi when they are a Nazi, right? But they think everyone's a Nazi. And what you end up doing is something to yourself, because you paint yourself into a corner. Because then if it turns out that one day you realize that you were wrong, and oh, that guy who I thought was Hitler actually isn't Hitler, and those people aren't Nazis, they just think different things than me, and it turns out my side actually is a little bit racist and blah, blah. Well, you've painted yourself into a corner, because it's pretty tough to be like, yeah, that Hitler guy I've been talking about, turns out that he's not that bad. And that really is the inherent problem here. So it's sad what they've done. They do this with everything. They've belittled the Holocaust. They've belittled everything to the point that nothing means anything anymore. And I think it's just incumbent upon us to be better than them and tell the truth and clean it up. Dr. Winery Guy says, I like it better when Clooney was an actor playing in Ocean's 11, not when Clooney is an actor playing like he knows something about politics. What say you? Well, first off, look at George Clooney. What year was Ocean's 11, the first Ocean 11? I'm going to guess it was about maybe 2004, something like that. That sounds 2001. Okay, so that's George Clooney 24 years ago, salt and pepper hair and everything. Apparently the dye job, do we have a picture of him from that last interview? We'll see if we can grab one in a second. But a lot of people were in the comments were saying, man, he looks terrible. And he was in a little bit of odd makeup. They were at a theater. He's playing Edward R. Murrow in a play, and I think they dyed his hair, but it's a terrible dye job. Anyway, putting all that stuff aside, yes, when he was just an actor in movies, doing stuff, he was kind of cool. I saw, when I lived in LA, I saw him at a restaurant once, and he had, I kid you not, he was sitting at the giant table in the middle of the restaurant, and he had like 5 gorgeous women on each side of him just sitting there like the king. I was like, that's a cool guy. Like that's a guy living his best life over there. I think we do have the picture. We're going to get that in just a sec. But then he became just sort of a leftist tool. And that's why I said the other day that the reason that the system's pushing him out again is the Democrats are in such free fall. Like if you're a moderate Dem and you're like watching James Carville, washed up James Carville, argue with David Hogg, this little kid, you're like, man, how can I be part of this thing? So they're using Clooney right now as a little stopgap while they try to figure out what the future of the party is. They're like, people basically like him, and I think we do have the image. He looks absolutely terrible there in the dye job. But again, it's for a show that he's doing on Broadway. But I think that was the purpose of putting him on CNN, right? Having him sit down there with Jake Tapper. It's only like, they have no idea what they're doing. The party's in free fall. You've got Bernie and AOC and Lady Eyelashes, and you've got the jihadist gang with Ilhan or whatever, and you can't run on that forever. So they need somebody right now to make it kind of look okay while they figure out who their next, basically body bag is going to be. Rich on the Farm says, are you able to steel man an argument from the Dems side? I try to, but I cannot find one of their positions to argue in favor for. That's a great question. The idea of steel manning is, can you take your ideological opponent's argument and can you really make it without impugning them, without whatever? It's very hard to do. It's very hard to do. What argument could I make for open borders? What argument could I make for equity? What argument could I make for giant government programs that at the end of the day don't work? It's really hard to do. What argument could I make for 8-month abortion? I don't know what policy, and that's the problem. They went so radical with all of these things. Let's put it this way. If the government was slimmer and trimmer, sort of like it's kind of becoming, and it wasn't so wasteful, could you argue that the government should have certain programs for people? You probably could. But the government isn't like that yet. Maybe Donald Trump will fix it, and then there will be some more government services. I don't know that I would even be for that, but you probably could make some argument for it, right? I'd rather everything be done, as much possible be done privatized with competition and everything else. But if the government was slimmer and trimmer, it's a line that I've repeated from Peter Thiel that he told me years ago, which is, he always used to say, I wouldn't be a libertarian if any of it worked. And that's the idea. If you have a competent, slim, trim system that actually is doing good things and that is somewhat transparent and that we understand how it works and why it's doing what it's doing, then I think you could argue for it. But it's very hard. Like, I can't make an argument for 8-month abortion. I just can't do it. And finally, Mad for Cars says, do you remember the Andy Griffith commercials for Ritz? Everything tastes good when it's on a Ritz. So I remember that tagline for sure as a child of the 80s. And my great-grandma Lily used to make some amazing tuna, and we'd go visit her in New York City, and she put it on a Ritz cracker. It was the only time I had Ritz crackers. Loved that tuna. But I don't remember that commercial specifically. I'm told we have the commercial. We're going to watch it now.
I'd like to talk to you about good things to eat, like Swiss cheese on a crisp Ritz cracker, or a chunk of ham on a crisp Ritz cracker. Peanut butter and jelly on a crisp Ritz cracker. Everything tastes great when it sits on a Ritz. You hungry? Then have some onion dip on a crisp Ritz cracker. Good cracker. Good cracker. From Nabisco.
That's a guy that likes a cracker. Yeah, I don't remember that commercial specifically, like Andy Griffith, like American icon, fantastic. I haven't had a carb in a while, so I would actually love to have a Ritz cracker right now. That seems amazing. And yeah, peanut butter and jelly on a Ritz cracker, it was because it was kind of, you could kind of crush it up. It was kind of salty on the outside, but it was a little soft almost, or little nibbles, and you get a little cheese on there, a little tuna on there, a little French onion dip. Damn, girl. Now you're talking. It's been an interesting show. Little bit of everything here today. Anyone have any final thoughts for me?
We had some crazy stories this morning.
We had some crazy stories this morning. That's right. I thank you for watching. We've got a post-game show in moments, RubinReport.locals.com. Oh, and tomorrow we will have special guest co-host. We're bringing him back. It's my man, the man who red-pilled Larry Elder in real time, the black conservative who beat up the white libtard, Dave Rubin. Yes, Larry Elder will be back on the Rubin Report for the hour tomorrow. Ciao, Wiedersehen, goodbye.
From Warner Brothers Pictures, every gender you assumed will be wrong. Witches become wizards. Wands become cauldrons. This fall, our boy Harry will be put to the final test. Harry Potter and the Gender Recognition Certificate.